Hi guys, welcome to Ustream. Um, me. It's not it. If you want to call me today, then you have to call on Skype, which is Lisa Cairns 12, and you can call in for a chat. If you want to come to my events, there's an online interactive retreat the 21st of May. There's a retreat in Crete, Greece, the 4th to the 11th of June. A weekend talk near London, the 25th to the 26th of June. A retreat in Romania, the 30th to the 6th of August. And a retreat in southern Spain, the 18th to the 1st of November. And I do Ustream every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Dutch time, French time, and every Sunday at 6 p.m. French time. So please call. And please let me know if there's anything wrong with Ustream tonight. If the sound is too quiet or too loud, it's very helpful. Thank you. If it gets stopped or stuck. Sometimes it's just you, and sometimes it's everybody that's experiencing it. I'm just going to get Casey before the horses come. Casey! Come here. Come on. Inside. Inside. Good girl. You can come on to me. Come on. When it comes down to it, what you want to do is run away from what you feel, and you want to feel good. And you want to do it the lazy way, by running into imagination and running into time. But this is what's happening. The feelings are what's happening. So if you're sat here and you're feeling ecstatic, or you're feeling uncomfortable, or you're feeling joy, that's what's happening. And there is no way out of what's happening in this moment. But what we want to do always is imagine getting out of this moment. So imagine this time when we're enlightened, or the time when it stops, or something else than what's happening. And you can't get out of what's happening. What's happening is what's happening. If there's an emotion there, there's an emotion there. If there's a repetitive story, there's a repetitive story. And in this moment, if you feel like a separate person, then you can work with it to relieve it a little. But it's not about imagining getting out of it or telling your stories about it. You could just speak it out. You can just sit in your room and speak out the emotion. You can place the attention on the emotion or the sensation. But this whole dream of you that's trying to get away from it and dreaming about getting the car, getting enlightened, going to the retreat and getting rid of it, or the next day it will get rid of it, is never going to help anything. That adds to it. That adds to the sense that this moment isn't enough, that there's something wrong with this moment. You want me to speak, and you want to hear words in order to try and escape something, to transform something. But this is what's happening. If it's there, it's there. If the contraction's there, it's there. If there's discomfort, it's there. I'm not saying don't listen, but that one that wants it's keeping it validated. It's true, you're not enough. This is it. This is God. This is it. And it's not easy, this transformation from being someone to hearing this, because the someone is running in time and it's got the momentum in time. And so that transformation to everything from that time-bound entity can be really uncomfortable. It's like a drug addict, the addiction of you. But that aliveness, that beingness is there all the time. It's looking through perfectly still. It's looking through the illusion of you. It's looking through the bodies, and it's never affected. Okay, let's take some questions. Hey Jason. Hey Maria. Hey Nick. Hi Niam. I was trying to call Cheaton, but now I call Niam. Cheaton wasn't answering. Hey!
Hi!
How do you say your name? Am I saying it right? Niam.
Nima.
Nima, sorry.
Nima, yeah.
Hey Nima.
I want to know why everything exists.
You're going the wrong way. You think that the question, why does everything exist, has some validity to it. That it's like you go the other way. Where does that question come from? Where does that? Sorry?
Comes from the person.
Well, not ultimately. Relatively, you could say it comes from the person, but ultimately, where does it come from, and why do you want to know that? Is that knowing of it after any type of freedom, or is it trying to get something to add to itself? Like that question comes from a feeling of wanting something. And in that, there's no freedom, but in all appearances, right here, right now, there is freedom. You see, the questions, they go forward. They're going in time, trying to hold something to take into yourself, and you can never get anything from it. No answer I could give you would fulfill you, but yet fulfillment is where the question comes from. If you rewind and go the other way, there's the juice, there's the freedom, there's the love.
I want to say why the person still somehow exists.
Does it though? Right here, right now, does it exist?
No, it came and it went. It exists. it like a bubble.
Yeah. It's never actually existing, but it seems to exist. It appears, it pops up.
Yes, it pop up. It never existed. It never existed. Nothing exists. And
No, nothing exists.
not even nothing exists.
Yeah.
Nothing. Not even nothing. Oh. 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 We are shifting. We are shifting. Going nowhere. We are going nowhere. So funny. Oh. I will sleep so tight tonight. Oh my God. This is God.
This is it.
Yeah. Everything is God. We are looking for the answer in the colors. We are looking for the answer in color. We are so stupid. The color is also God. God is looking for God. God, everything is God.
Okay, Neil. Thank you. Lovely to speak
Thank,
with you. Bye.
thank you. Have a great day.
Thanks, Andy. So, hey guys. I just feel like sitting in silence. I'm enjoying it so much for a little bit. I might start talking after a while and take some calls, but I'm just enjoying the silence so much. I've been in IKEA today, so this might be why. I've been shopping all day. You see, normally you want activity, you want something to happen, rather than nothing to happen. And it's uncomfortable just to sit there. You start feeling that anxiety, that seeking energy. the toilet. Would you like to go back out? Yeah? Would you like to go back out? Yeah? Good girl. Hey, Lorraine. Hey, Vladimir. Hi, Kevin. Hi, Renate.
Hi.
Hey, Marianne.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. How are you?
I'm well.
If you want to see my video, I just have to quit Skype first, if you don't mind not seeing my video. It's just it sometimes
Okay.
gets stuck.
Okay,
You would like to or not?
it doesn't matter.
Okay, then I won't bother.
Yeah, it could be a distraction. So if you can hear me and whatever, we can chat.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Um, you've been talking about this recently, and I think where I keep getting confused, and what sometimes happens is that I'll take this, there's nobody concept, and then do two things. One, I become passive, and then probably do behaviors that aren't necessarily good for me, knowing that I'm passive, pretending nobody's home.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, I am noticing I have no control.
Yeah.
So I guess the question is, how do the two work? I mean, I'm just really perplexed.
Yeah.
Oops, sorry, I just got a text. Sorry.
That's okay.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. You see, non-duality is an intellectual. It's not. So unfortunately, when I speak about it, when somebody's listening, they think what I'm speaking about is the ideas, and really what's happening is there's a pointing to this silence, or what's the speaking is screaming silence. It's not about what's actually being said or spoken about. But it sounds like the concepts have meaning, but nothing actually has meaning, and it doesn't actually mean anything. There's nobody there, or there is nobody, or life's not happening to anyone, or that you don't have any choice. But what happens is the person hears that and it takes it into itself, and it tries to become somebody with no choice, somebody with nobody there. And this will create a deadness, actually. It might actually relax some of the emotional roller coasters, but it will become a deadness.
Yeah.
What's actually meant to happen, and this is a phase, like lots of people go through this, Marianne, but what's meant to happen is there's meant to be a collapsing back into what's happening, so everything comes alive again. But that's not an intellectual thing. It's where this stillness comes forward and the person sort of goes into the background. The person is no longer the experiencer, it is an experience. Where when the separate person's there, it's all about you and you're the centre of the world. So it's like a shift, an energetic shift from being that contracted energy to boundlessness. And really, if you feel like you are someone, it's useless repeating what I say non-duality wise. Just listen to what I say, and what should happen is that when you're listening, there is a remembering of this stillness, but it's not an intellectual thing. But when you feel like you are there, like and is I would put the attention on the bodily sensations, on the emotions, on the feelings, rather than what you think, and keep moving it down to that rather than the intellect. And then also keep remembering that it's all stillness, it's all made of stillness, but all the other concepts I have, to live by them will make things dead. But when you feel like you are someone, that someone always wants to do something. So it takes these concepts, because I don't really give any practices, it takes these concepts and then tries to wear them as a badge. It doesn't even know it's doing it, it just does it.
And it seems to happen, I mean, it doesn't happen all the time. And Like, in fact, lately I've been listening to you a lot while like painting or whatever. So I'm kind of, you're in the background,
Yeah.
and it's talking to something else
Yeah.
apparently.
Yeah.
And then no, but then somehow, and then that carries forth, and then somehow, then my person or whatever gets reintegrated, and then takes whatever you've said
Yeah.
and tries to
No, I think it's.
understand it,
I
tries
think.
to live by it.
Yeah. No, and it can't help it in a way. But I think that's beautiful what you describe with the painting, because it does do that. You're painting, and it's not like you're focused too much on intellectually understanding me, but that you're allowing the words to represent that silence. It is really beautiful, that part. But that, in a way, that's all the person can do. The person's going to try to always do something with whatever it comes in contact with. So it tries to wear non-duality. And the reason that it's doing that is to try and get to a better future. But this is never going to work, this game. All you ever have is this present moment. All you ever have is this. And it's never going to work getting to the future. So when you notice that happening, just move the attention to what's being felt and notice that in the body there's a seeking energy that wants to go somewhere else. And in the recognition of that, it stops playing unconsciously. And more than likely it slows that game down. It can't awake you because awakeness is you. It is it. But it's going to slow down the seeking in the person. It's going to relax the person more.
So in that respect, okay, that brings up another thing, because I've noticed that if I'm tired, or if I'm frustrated or stressed out or whatever, for whatever reason, whatever is going on in my life, I notice what you've been talking about, that's when we get more entrenched in our thinking mind or whatever. But then I take the concepts and get confused and say, well, when I try to put my attention to my body, or I try to not act a certain way, or there is that seeker. So is that, I know it's all part of it, but at the same time, is there something that this person can do to soften, or is that just...
Well, when that person's there, it's always going to try to be making things better in time. So it's always going to try to make things better. Now, in that personal world, in the separate self world, that separate person can't get to enlightenment. It's never going to happen. The separate person is a movement in time, and what's being talked about is timelessness. So that's impossible that the person can wake itself up. But what the person can do is there can be a bringing to awareness its dynamics. And in its dynamic, in the recognition of its dynamics, those dynamics will dissolve. It can't do the final killing of itself, but it can, because when the separate self starts, that bundle of energy, it then goes through 30 years of believing that game and developing very neurotic patterns, and that's when it begins to suffer. It puts too much emphasis on thinking, and it keeps acting out old patterns. So by bringing attention to what's happening behind what you want and what you're telling yourself intellectually, like there is nobody, and being aware that there's a discomfort and you aren't feeling comfortable, those games will stop acting out. So therefore, the separate self will stop being so neurotic, if you know what I mean. Now, some speakers will say that when it becomes less neurotic or less dense, there's more chance of hearing non-duality. And some say that it doesn't matter either way. Basically, nobody knows. But it will, by being aware of those dynamics, those seeking dynamics, it will relax the seeking. It's not always comfortable doing it because you're used to acting out your games. So you're used to going and eating if you feel uncomfortable, or doing certain things. So putting the attention there and realizing the discomfort that's in the body is sometimes a bit uncomfortable. It feels like coming off of drugs or something. Like you're used to taking drugs in order to relax yourself, and now there's not so much of that. But then it's actually really freeing, because when that passes and when the separate person stops being afraid of itself, it relaxes into itself so much more. And this is way more beneficial than you repeating to yourself, there is no one, it's all beingness. But carry on listening to non-duality, because that's beautiful, because these talks are all about being sucked back into the moment. And I think that's what happens here, is that when I speak, there's a resonance that's kind of bringing this, what is, back to life.
Yes.
But if you're telling yourself there is nobody, and it's all these kind of non-dual stories, this is going to hurt you.
Okay.
Because you're going to take on a new identity, and it will most probably lead to depression as well, and a deadness.
Right.
Well, the best thing to do is to keep bringing the attention back to what's happening in the body. The intellect has never been the king. The intellect has been a poor man's slave, work instrument or whatever it is. But we've put so much attention on the intellect. It's never been the master and the fantastic thing we thought it was. It's certainly never talked about you, Marianne, or anybody else for that matter.
Yeah, and okay, so last time I spoke with you, it was a couple months ago. You said something, and then again I conceptualized it. You talked about the apes or monkeys or whatever, and how everybody has roles and everybody does things and whatnot. And I love that.
Yeah.
And again, that worked for a while because it was that softening into an isness, like, well, this is how I am, this is how they are, and we'll just move along. But then through that, I think what I saw was the lack of, how really the Marianne has no control over what goes on.
Yeah, no, she doesn't.
So then, and there's evidence over and over and over again where that's true.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, she grabs onto that and again takes this concept and does that exact same thing, like becomes the passive, becomes depressed, or becomes, again, conceptualizes it.
Yeah.
So when you say go to the body and
yeah,
the
definitely.
body,
This is a much better guide, particularly as a woman. I'm sorry to be so sexist, but you're having so many feelings and emotions, and if you stay in the intellect, then you're just acting them out. You know what I mean? Like
yes.
there's so many feelings. It's like a wealth in there. But doesn't need to be a really strict practice. But when you notice that the mind's circling, just take a moment to sit there and feel what's happening in the body and how you want to keep working it out and finding a solution. And you want to keep relying on the thought patterns, and it never works. And it will feel a little bit uncomfortable, but you'll begin to fall in love with the sensations of the body, and they won't be so scary. You won't be so scared of feeling uncomfortable.
And I have control to be able to do that.
No, you don't actually, but it seems like you do. But if I also said to you now, can you stand up? More than likely the body will stand up. It's the way that it works. It's like an interactive robot.
Okay.
But you have no. But next time it's happening, when the thoughts are circling, what will happen? More than likely is a thought will pop up and say, "Oh, but what about the body?"
Okay.
And it's nothing to do with Marianne. That doesn't equal Marianne. All of it's an instantaneous appearance that's got the pattern of Marianne, but there is no solid Marianne. There is beingness looking through a body, and then a thought
shows up, and so it'll show up and say, think of feel the body or feel the hands or whatever, and I may be able to, and then I'll jump back to thinking.
Yeah.
And then I may be able to again, right?
And you'll feel like you're doing it with your free will, but there is no free will. There's the appearance of free will. There's appearance of choice that comes from nowhere, comes from a total mystery. And then this energy sucks it in and says, that's me. That's who I am.
And then at the same time, the passive person just takes exactly what you just said and acts like it has no control in the depressed, dead way.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's a matter of saying that's not true as well.
No, and and the reason that is totally to support the story of depression and victimhood. And this is why I've had to begin to go the opposite to what I said, because I realized that people were taking it on as a way to maintain depression. And way to maintain downness, because it appears as if you have free will, but you don't have free will. But if I say to the robot, feel the emotions rather than the story of the emotions, more than likely it will do it.
Yes.
But it's not you, that's not you. But what the brain hears when it interprets what I say is, she says there's nothing I can do, there's nobody here, it's pointless, I just have to lay here and feel bad and my life is meaningless. And that's completely not what I'm saying, but that's the way the mind takes it on. When it's in a particular mood, when it's feeling positive, then not having free will or choice is a wonderful thing. But when it's in a particular mood, it uses it. Instead of being depressed about your partner, it's depressed about non-duality.
Yes, because in a positive mood, it feels like, wow, this is so cool.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, let's just go on for the ride.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
if stressed or tired or, something, I don't know, an obstacle comes up, then it becomes, the depressed, like, oh, and I can't do anything about it, and whatever that.
And this is the most important time for the attention to move to the emotions and see there is a big contraction there and you desperately want to get out of it, and that's what's creating the discomfort. So when this comes to light, it really will begin to stop that neurotic functioning, that uncomfortable functioning of the person. But it can't collapse that separate energy. That happens or it doesn't. You can't undo yourself. That's an impossibility, because who would be doing that? There would be somebody there undoing it. But, you're listening to non-duality, and it's not like you're listening to how to sew or how to do ballet or how to cook. It's like non-duality is presenting itself, so it's more than likely that that body's awakening. Otherwise there wouldn't be a resonance with it.
Right. And there is a part that it does resonate with, and it does make sense too.
Yeah.
So in the circumstance, that, let's get that scenario again, where the circumstance is making me uncomfortable, or whatever, there's discomfort, and the reaction is to get rid of it.
Yeah.
So you're just saying, just keep sitting with
the
what's
emotion.
Going on.
Notice what's happening. Although there isn't you there to notice, but that functioning more than likely will happen. The noticing of what's happening in the body, rather than just the top layer story of there is nobody.
Okay.
You shouldn't feel like this because there is nobody. Why are you feeling like this? You've not, whatever it's telling on the surface level, these are just simply byproducts of that discomfort. And that discomfort, as soon as there's the energetic separation, there is two feelings of lack and fear. And so just there's a recognition of them. And if it's really intense, speak it out. If you're really angry with your husband or, with life or something, speak out that dislike. But knowingly do it, not as in like you're just acting it out, but you're sitting there and you're like, I hate this, I hate this, I hate this, just because it's better than just circling in the stories on the top level. So there's many different things that you can do just to be with that feeling, rather than trying to imagine something in the future or kick yourself even more with a story.
Behavior.
Yeah, or acting out on someone.
Okay.
Although really it's all perfect and you're not acting separately, but this information changes things, but it's not changing someone, because there is no solid someone.
But it's okay, because I think the other thing that I do also, it's either, and that I guess it's a condition thing as well, it's that whole like you said, speak it out.
Yeah.
Probably keep it in instead.
Oh no, I don't mean speak it out to someone.
Oh, don't speak it out.
No, I just mean speak it out to yourself in the bathroom or in your bedroom. No, whenever I say that, I always forget to say not to someone. Don't act it out with someone. It's always better not to act it out, but the urge comes up and you're like, ah!
Well, because I think one day last week I did the and I don't know, because I guess whatever, and which totally shocked the Marianne character too.
Yeah.
Because the Marianne character doesn't act like that.
Yeah.
So,
but sometimes it has to do that if it does it. But it's good just to sit by yourself, and then there can be a recognition of what's going on, rather than just staying in the top story of I hate you, or there can be a recognition that it always comes from the separation, the energetic separation, and the two primary emotions, lack, I am not enough, and fear, this is scaring me. I'm scared of my emotions and feelings.
And both of those make total sense.
Yeah.
And find those, they do. That's what I end up finding. But most of the time, now I'm getting feedback. Most of the time, I feel like it's just, how do I say it? It's easier to go do something and deny it.
Yeah. Yeah, and just take a minute or two to recognize it and then go and do it. It's okay to feed it, but just recognize that that's happening. Just a moment, just 2 or 3 minutes or 5 minutes, and just sit there and be like, oh.
Okay.
And then it's okay to get up and do it. Like, of course, you don't want to be feeling uncomfortable, but the recognition for the balancing out of that sense of self is really important. The recognition of its patterns. But this isn't about getting to enlightenment. Like forget that getting to enlightenment. That's happening. Like that's a useless idea. Getting to enlightenment. It doesn't have any purpose or relevance. It's a way to make you actually feel low about yourself, that there's enlightenment out there that you've got to achieve. So it's just bringing to light the dynamics of the person, and in that it begins to dissolve the intensity of them. And then the non-duality, the waking up part, is happening beyond you. But it's just going to make your life worse if you as a person identify with non-duality.
Okay.
That's if you identify, and there's a difference. That's a difference between listening to it, but I mean taking it home and trying to be not a person when you are a person is just going to drive you round the bend. It's going to do your head in. Because it's impossible. If you feel like a person with free will, then that's what you feel like, and that's what's got to happen. And the best thing that person can do, well, it feels separate, is the recognition of its dynamics, that all of it's happening in beingness, none of it's personal, and just recognizing that it's always trying to fulfill itself.
And let that be okay.
Yeah, it's totally okay. It's totally okay. And then through the understanding of the Marianne character and Marinette, then there will be a greater understanding of the other ones and a greater compassion for the other ones. And then at the same time, the listening to non-duality and hearing that, because really what the speaker's doing is it doesn't really matter that much what they say, although there's a preference. Lisa, I have a preference for some speakers over others, but intellectually it's not that important. Really what's happening in these talks is they're speaking in silence, and you know that when you're painting. You know what I mean, when there's an absolute loss in the moment, and you can hear my voice and you're painting, but you're not really listening. You're listening but not listening.
Right. Exactly. And I leave here and I go to try to tell my friend what you said, and I can't because there's a knowing but a not knowing. So I understand that totally. Yeah. So it's only when I think I must grab on to something you do say and then try to.
But that's okay. But just recognize that is coming from you wanting to be something. Just the recognition, what's happening there, that it's trying to be something in time, and it's trying to feel better than it currently feels. Like it's just trying to add something, and it doesn't even need to stop. If it feels the urge to go and do that, that's what it's got to do. But just the awareness of what it's doing breaks those unconscious patterns, because the reason why these patterns carry on acting out, so say if you're in a very passive-aggressive relationship with someone, the reason it carries on acting out is because neither of the characters have a consciousness of it. When they have a consciousness, they're not going to keep doing things to hurt their partner, or though they might, but they'll do it with a knowingness, and with that knowingness it's more than likely to break it, or to change it in some way, or to have more compassion to the other person and be able to apologize about it. But it's nobody doing it, it's just the way these instruments work. When you put in information to this body, so if you put information into this body that if I keep putting my hand in the fire it will hurt, then there's more than likely that will stop. Just like the dynamics of the person. If it's conscious, but it's not somebody's consciousness, but if they come to light, because normally they're not conscious, they're hidden, they're acting out, but there's no awareness of them. When they come to the light, it breaks that a bit. It breaks the patterns of it. And it really make the person's life a lot easier. and a lot better. And then and then non-duality will be boof, boof in those moments when it's ready to be boof and show itself.
And that's up to it and not to me. And
Yeah.
I get that. You've said that so beautifully.
Yeah.
And then the rest, I just take a pause and
Yeah.
do the body thing or do the what's going on emotionally.
Yeah.
And see.
Yeah, and you don't need to work too much. It doesn't need to come too intellectual. It will, just more of the sensations of the body and then a little bit of thinking about the behavior, but not too much. It doesn't need to be too much thinking about yourself.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, it's a pleasure, Marianne. I didn't get to see your face, so I recognise your voice from speaking to you before, but I can't remember what you looked like.
No. Yeah, I'm glad. Well, I appreciate everything, and I'll be listening.
Oh, with pleasure. Lots of love to you.
Love to you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
And do my seal clap. Hey, Vinny! Oh, Harrison, you can get next. I'm just going to do Cheaton. He's been trying to call the whole time. And we keep missing each other. Hey, Vincent! Cheaton, I'm trying to call you. You keep missing me. And Harrison's trying to call. I'm going to take Harrison in a minute. Okay. Oh, Harrison, just let me speak to Vincent. Just because I've never spoken to him before and he's got to go to work soon. Hey, Vincent! I don't know when you've got to go to work.
Huh?
You got to go to work soon?
In like 20 minutes.
Oh, okay. You've got 20 minutes.
So I don't have any questions or anything. Just want to say a big thank you.
Oh, with pleasure.
I see your camera though.
Oh, yeah, hang on. I'll just quit Skype and I'll call you back because it's just playing up. 1 second. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I just need the toilet again. Vincent, I'm calling. Vincent, call me. I'm back. I just went for toilet. Hey, Vincent.
Hi there.
Sorry about that. I just had to go to the toilet.
Oh, it's fine. When you need to go to the toilet, you go to the toilet.
Yeah, exactly. That's my theory.
um, yeah, so I don't have any questions. Just want to say big thank you because our last call, there was this seeking energy that was going on for like 3 years, or I don't know, I lost count. And I never went to any master or anything, but when our eyes met, it was because there was this thought back inside that maybe I'm going mad or something because I'm going against the whole of humanity in a way, or the human world, and it was just clear. So something just dropped and relaxed. And yeah. Now I don't know. There's no identification with thoughts.
Sorry?
It's gone. There's no identification with thoughts.
Yeah.
It's gone. It's just silence and stillness. It's nice.
Yeah!
I love it. So that's all. I just want to say thank you, and to everybody who wants to call, it's just go for it. It's the
No.
best.
Oh, thanks, Vincent. That's a lovely call. I'm so happy you called to say that.
So that's it. And,
Oh.
lots of love.
Yeah, send you lots of love back. Thank you, sweetie. Bye. Woohoo! Da 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 da. Da 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 da. That's lovely, dear. Okay, Harrison! Hey, Jessie. Love you too. Hey, Laurie. Law, sorry.
Hello.
Hey, Harrison!
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. How are
Okay.
you doing?
Can you see me? Oh, wait, I have to... Oh, there we go. Okay. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Oh, nice hair.
Thank you. Yeah, Oh, yeah, so I had bleached it or whatever. And then I paid like $100, Lisa, and it was the same color that it was before I dyed it black the first time. So I wasted $100. But then last night I went to go see this movie with my friend. It's called The Green Room. And it was really crazy. It was about this like American like modern punk rock band, like this little small time kind of band, and they get trapped in this white supremacist kind of concert hall.
Yeah.
And they, that, I don't know, do you know the Dead Kennedys?
No.
The band, the Dead Kennedys?
No, I don't know.
Yeah, they're like a really famous American punk rock band from like the 70s and 80s and stuff.
Yeah.
And so this guy was really stupid. He was like, he found out it was like a white supremacist sort of thing, and he's like, I have a crazy idea, guys. And so he goes on, and they have this song called Nazi Punks Fuck Off. And they just start singing that in front of these white supremacists. And it's just so crazy. And then, like, I get home after that. I mean, it's a really violent movie. I almost had to leave a couple times. But
What's it called?
Green Room?
The Green Room, okay.
Yeah. And so I got home after I watched this movie, and I'm like, I really want blue hair. So it's like green now. But it looks nice. It's only in the front, too.
Oh, yeah, I see. No, it has got that blue. It's not like... It's like a... what's that colour of green? Like a bluey green.
Turquoise?
Yeah, kind of turquoise. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's like a blue hair dye, but my hair is kind of like bronzy orange, sort of. So it kind of made it a little green. But I think it looks cool.
Oh, that's funny that you dyed it, bleached it, and it just went back to your.
Yeah. The exact same color. The only difference is that they toned it, so it's like a little bit different. But I don't know. It was funny. Yeah, that was funny.
I once dyed my hair so much my hair fell out.
Yeah. That happens.
And
I remember.
I used to have hair this length, and then it all fell out to this length, but it actually looked really cool. I had it like
that's cool.
spiky and blonde.
Is that when you decided you were gonna just shave your head and go?
No, this was when I was a lot younger. Actually, I was only about 19 or 18, and actually a little bit of the fringe stayed long, but it all was about that length. And I used to put this bedhead stuff in and spike it up. It looked really cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah, but it was
I've
by
had
accident.
Before.
Sorry.
Oh, I said I think there was this one time I counted 7 times I bleached my hair.
Oh yeah, and then it fell out.
It didn't fall out. It was interesting. It was really like strawy and like kind of brittle almost, but it didn't fall out. I thought that was interesting. I guess I have strong hair.
Yeah.
You know.
Thicker hair than me.
That was really sweet, that last call.
Yeah.
And you got all excited. You're like, I did it. It's funny.
I think it's because often when people are calling, they have a lot of suffering. Not all the time. Sometimes people call in for chatting, but sometimes there's problems. And so then when someone doesn't, I'm like, oh! Not that it's better.
But I mean, it's preferable.
Well, actually, is it preferable? Yeah, it's preferable. Yeah, it is preferable. Yeah. But ultimately, it doesn't. Yeah, it's preferable.
But you must get something out of it because you talk to these miserable people all day.
But I feel so empty. I don't know if I really notice.
Yeah.
But energetically, I do. I do get tired sometimes, and I can't do more than 2 or 3 sessions a day if I do one-to-ones. So there obviously is some noticing. But also, sometimes it's so empty. It's like you can see it happening, but there's not any registration of it. So it's happening.
You mean? I was actually So I sent you some messages this morning just out of nowhere because I watched one of your videos that I've seen a couple times, I think, and like you were just talking about everything and nothing, and then like I was just sitting in my backyard, and it's just like if my mind will be circling, or it'll just be kind of like in that state of like not really wanting to be here.
Yeah.
And then I just heard that, and it's just like, oh wait, oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's like there's just nothing happening. It's like so empty, like you said. It's just like I sit there, and then like after that, it's just like I think I told you it's just like all of the ways of saying it. Like they're all so. A lot of them are like polar opposites. Like some people will say it's complete knowing. Some people say it's not knowing. It's like it means the exact thing. Like it's all the same. Everything and nothing. It's all.
Yeah, so it's really funny the not knowing and the knowing because it is both simultaneously. It's known, but yet nothing knows it, so it's not known as well.
But it's not really known that nothing knows it. Yeah. It's just funny trying to talk about it because it's so unrelated to actually what it is.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's funny.
Yeah.
And it's just nice too. Like, I'll listen to you or like Unmani. You know Unmani, right?
Yeah.
I like her sometimes. I like her. She's more of like a personal kind of talker. She sort of.
You know that her name is Lisa as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm actually. My parents meant to call me Lisa, Liza. I'm Lisa, but they made a mistake on my birth certificate. But I was meant to be Lisa.
Is that like an English?
Sorry?
More type style of name?
What, Lisa?
Yeah.
I'm not sure, really. But Lisa's not that popular actually in England. Lisa or Lisa.
It's not popular here either. Now that you mention it, but I don't know if I've ever met someone here named Lisa rather than Lisa.
Yeah, no, that's even less popular. I only know Manny. Lisa.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's so sweet that she like has her little spiritual name. It's really sweet. She's really cute too. So watching her face and how she just talks about how like it's just so normal. Life is just so normal for her, and it's just like, well, of course it is. Like, how could it not? Like, what would it look otherwise?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I went to I had a therapy session yesterday, just like a regular therapist.
Yeah.
And I've been to her before. I went to her a few years ago, but I only went to a couple of sessions, and like, I was going through a lot of like existential stuff back then, like really just like deep depression, and it was really difficult for me to like even reason for me to like find a reason for me to even care about therapy.
Yeah.
And it's like, it was weird, like going there, I kind of felt like a resonance with that past state, you know what I mean? Like it just felt the same, because it's the same office, she looked the same, sounded the same, whole place was the same, so it was like, it reminded me of that.
Yeah.
But it's like, she was,
What type of therapy does she do? Do you know what type it is?
I think it's just, I don't know, I think it's just therapy, like psychotherapy, just plain psychotherapy. I don't know, are there like different sorts?
I think so. I think there's all different schools of it, but actually, and I know some schools, but
I know there are some non-dual therapists, but
yeah.
I don't think there's very many. Because I actually, you were, I think your last talk, you were telling this woman that she was the only call that you've ever gotten from Texas, but I actually live in Texas too.
Oh.
I just don't live super south. I live in Austin, where people don't talk like.
Oh yeah, your accent's not really strong to me.
Yeah.
Hi, you're in Texas. Oh, that's really funny.
Yeah, and it's really actually quite nice right now. It's like maybe like 73. It's really humid though. Like I'm sitting outside and it's so humid, but it's like really cloudy. It's just been raining the past week and a half, and it's gonna be raining all week. And I just love this weather,
And and is it quite alternative, Austin, or do you stand out with your like there is they're okay like with alternative scene?
Yeah, no, it's definitely really alternative. Like you'll it's like the LA of Texas, sort of. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because I can imagine some of Texas is really like straight and narrow and rigid and.
Yeah, I actually haven't been to too many places like that in Texas. I know that a lot of the states that are like that, like I think like Louisiana, Mississippi, like the deep South. I mean, there's some deep South in Texas. It's just I don't really go many places in Texas. I've gone to Houston. Houston's scary. Like that place really scares me.
I've flown through there, but I've never looked at it or been or driven. I've flown through Houston many times, but I've never stopped.
Yeah, I have family that lives there, so I go there sometimes. But it's really like it's nerve-wracking going there. I mean, I really like the sort of like grungy, like lived-in sort of feel, like the broken fences, like thick bushes and stuff, things like that. So like Houston's kind of like that, but there's also a lot of like lots of violence there, like drug violence, things like that. And it's really dirty and really like crowded. And Austin's sort of turning into that, but Austin's I think always going to be sort of like the alternative city of the South. It's like the
And so when you back to the therapy, when you went to go to therapy, you talked to her about non-duality.
Not well. Okay, so I told her I was talking. What did I say? I was talking to her about how like there's this part of me. I had to word it in a way that like would make sense to like a therapist sort of situation. I was like, there's a part of me that just doesn't. What did I say? I think I was just telling her how like oh yeah, that's right. How it's really hard for me to this is one thing. It's really hard for me to like think that I'm gonna get somewhere in the future, and like how I feel like I'm kind of reluctant to do therapy just because I feel like I'm lying to myself in a way. That's kind of how I worded it to her. Like I'm kidding myself.
Yeah.
And I also told her like the therapy makes me feel like I'm avoiding my emotions when like there's just like this strong pull in me to just like be with most things. Like I mean, there's obviously like a tendency to like try and avoid things like little things, like I'll smoke a bunch of cigarettes when I'm really stressed out, or like when I'm depressed, I'll like, just lie in bed and like sleep. But I don't find that I like want to fix everything that's wrong with me anymore. That's kind of what I was telling her. And it's like and she completely understood. She was like, yeah, I know what you mean. She was like she was talking about like the paradox of like non-resistance, like not resisting your emotions, and they tend to like lighten or soften. She was saying that, and I'm like, yeah, that's definitely something I've experienced.
Well,
But
that's
then I was
nice that
talking,
she can understand that. That's nice.
yeah, and that's why I like her. She's really open, and like I feel like I can be open with her,
Yeah.
and
No, I think it's good because you still got to live in this society. So if she can help you understand the dynamics of that personality and that body mind mechanism, I think this will be really beneficial.
yeah, yeah, and she's I don't know. It's like she kind of understands what I'm saying, but it's like at the same time she like when if I bring it up to her, she'll like try and avoid it. She doesn't want to talk about that non-personal stuff, and like I understand that completely because like how are you supposed to do therapy to a non?
You've got to be someone to fix it and change it and all those things.
And I mean, it just seems kind of like a joke sometimes. Like therapy for what? Like I mean, I could get neurosurgery and have the exact same thing. I get a lobotomy.
But the thing is the body has particular characteristics, and it's easier living life being aware of these characteristics than just acting them out all the time. Like acting out like in personal relationships, the same old patterns, and it might not necessarily break, but normally when there's awareness on particular patterns, they're not so strong anymore. Because the character, when the separation is still there, particularly, but even if the separation isn't, you could be conditioned in particular ways that are difficult to be with other people, or like are less productive or something, and so therefore it's easier to be aware of them and to recognize them and to change them a little. It'll make life so much easier. I did therapy as well because I had a lot of problems in my childhood, and by the time I left home, I felt really just really muddled about a lot of things. I did Buddhism and the awakening, but I also had to go through a lot of therapy to just kind of even out my personality.
Did you go through therapy? Was it before you got into non-duality, or was it afterwards? Or was it
on and off throughout the whole thing. I went through a couple of years of rejecting it because there is nobody. And then I was like, oh, fuck it, I'm fucked up, let's just do it.
Yeah, that's how I feel sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not a person. Everybody has really screwed up dynamics. But when you live in this society, this particular society, and you're having relationships, and then you're awakening at the same time, and it's difficult to be in relationships with people with some of these it's not even necessarily difficult, but relationships are hard enough, let alone if you've had like a more harder background than most people. Like then you've got even more baggage to take into them. So being aware of those things. So I did different therapies. I did Osho therapies. I did cognitive therapy. I most probably did non-dual therapy as well. I can't remember them all. But, I'd go through periods of be like, there is nobody. And yes, there is nobody. And there's this other part where it's all empty.
But that's irrelevant.
Yeah. And still, I sometimes have bizarre habits. I still have karma acting out of this body. And, and I can get angry in inappropriate situations or respond in not very nice situations. And, and there's suddenly an awareness, at least as I
do. Isn't it?
Sorry?
It's kind of funny afterwards.
Yeah.
You're just like, that was so stupid.
Yeah.
And you just have to laugh at yourself. It's just like, why am I wasting my time doing that? It's just like, what's the point?
Yeah.
And it's, it's like, for me at least, I feel like a lot of the time that I'm like rejecting the therapy is like, there's like this fear or like apprehension. Like if I try and like start fixing myself, like, my mind is just going to go right back into like the complete separation with like no sort of recognition of the non-separate nature. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Did you ever have that?
Yeah, and so I would go in and out of doing these things, and I had that feeling too. And
then you're afraid that you're going to lose it if you don't think about it all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's really stupid, but it's like something's really attached to that.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you think you're going to get somewhere, and it's just like, where?
And then sometimes it's hard. Like sometimes I think I used to feel like I was dumbing myself down to people. It's like
Just have to relate to normal societal patterns
Yeah.
and individuals.
yeah.
I have a friend that she's really into the subject, sort of, and she's had some experiences or whatnot, and it's like she's sort of turned into like this person where she just kind of I see her like not being able to relate to others like at all.
Yeah.
And she was talking to me, she was like, she's like, Harrison, I feel like everybody loves you, and like I just can't be around people. I'm like, yeah, but you know that's because like I'm just really good at bullshitting in front of people. And that might not necessarily be true, like, because I know I definitely have like different personalities around different people.
Yeah.
Like I have really receptive, empathetic sort of reactions to people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I can like shift. It's like I guess it's like that for a lot of people. We just shift in front of other people.
No,
like,
totally, because you're not really a fixed thing. You're a accumulation of energy, and when a new energy comes in, it shifts your energy. So there's a different, always, in every instant, there's a new Harrison appearing. But he has his flavour, but it's always a new one.
And I don't really know what my flavor is, too. I guess that's up to other people.
Totally. And then you think you have some sort of taste of it, and then you're like, oh no, he does that as well.
Changes, yeah. I mean, any flavor I do have of myself would have to be really superficial anyway. But I mean, any other, because that's all it is. It's just like superficial, sort of like past judgments on something that isn't actually like a constant.
Yeah.
And it's just, yeah. But there's also been like this pull, it's completely unrelated, but I was talking to my therapist about this too, is like I really want to travel. Like I wanted to get out of Texas because I've lived here my whole life. I'm like, I wanted to go to California because I have family. Because actually my whole family, my whole dad's side of the family is from England, they lived in London.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and so I have English family in Orange County, California, and then there's people in London that I wanted to go see, and it's just like I want to get out of Texas, and there's like this. Sometimes there's just like this horribly strong pull to like escape this part of the world, you know. It's just like it's the same patterns over and over, and then like I was talking to her, I'm like, well, because I know that even if I do that, as I was telling her, I was like, I know even if I do that, it's not going to be enough. Like I'm still gonna. I mean, everywhere you go, there you are. That's kind of how I described it. Like, it's not changing anything. And she's like that. But that feeling, or that thought that you've convinced yourself that it's never going to be enough, that can be. She said that can be dealt with. That can be like put out of the way. And I mean, she wasn't saying like you're going to be satisfied if you do this or that. She was just saying the thought, like the fear of doing this, can be dealt with, and that makes a lot of sense. It's like she's saying it's just like a bunch of thought patterns.
Yeah.
Haven't really been looked at all. And, like, there's a lot of stuff I haven't looked at.
Yeah.
I even know if I will look at. It's just so much to look at,
Infinite.
And there's not a lot of draw to do that either. It's like, it's just, like, stuff comes up. Of course, I'm going to, like, have to pay attention to it because it's there.
Yeah.
But it's like, I find it really difficult to search for things to look at. And I guess...
Well,
normally
they become apparent when you're uncomfortable.
Yeah, exactly.
When you're having trouble relating to someone, then you're like, oh.
And it's really hellish a lot of the time, too, Lisa. Like, this whole process or whatever, it's just, sometimes it's just so awful. Like, just the dread and the dissatisfaction. Sometimes it even goes into, like, despair. And it's just like, what am I doing? Like, why?
Yeah.
When is this going to end? And then other times it's just like, that was so stupid. Like, there's nothing that needed to be dealt with anyway.
Yeah, no, totally. And but this is why doing therapy or speaking with me as well, because seeing that when these thoughts come up and these feelings come up, none of them are actually talking about anything. None of them have any truth. They're all hidden belief systems that pass through. And it's really beautiful because when the contraction comes, even though it's really awful, you'll begin to notice that afterwards there's a relief that happens. It's like something's let go of. But none of it's true in the moment. None of it that it's saying, and it's going to try everything. Oh, this is awful. Why am I alive? Anything to keep that energy going.
Oh, it's so funny because when you said that, it reminded me of how me and my friends will, like, banter back and forth at each other, like, I'm gonna fucking kill myself if blah, blah, blah doesn't happen. And it's just, like, I don't have any filters anymore. Like, I just say what I want to say. And sometimes I look at it and I'm like, I'm just making it worse. Like every time I say I want to kill myself, like I actually want to kill myself. And then other times it's just funny. And I remember I was at work the other day, and this huge table. No, it was. I think it was like a 4-person table because I'm a waiter. They come in and my coworker's just like walking by, and I hear like under her breath, she's like, "I'm gonna fucking kill myself." She saw, and like I was walking towards the table when she said that, and I heard her, and I almost fell on the ground laughing so hard, like in front of this huge table that just walked in. Looked at me, they were like, just like concerned or like something. It was so hilarious, and they tipped me really nicely too. So, but
Oh yeah, you get good tips in America. We don't tip so much in Europe.
Yeah, but then you have high wages though, because I only make $2.14 an hour, which is like.
Oh my god! Yeah.
Which is one pound.
Yeah.
About.
Wow, you wouldn't be allowed to be paid that in Europe.
Mm-mm. See, there's some states I think that are like doing away with lower minimum wages for servers, but it's only for servers. Like if you're able to make enough tips to where you surpass the minimum wage, which is here is $7.25 an hour, then they don't legally have to pay you. But if you don't make $7.25 total an hour, including your wage and tips, then they have to give you the difference. They have to pay you $7.25, which is really, that doesn't usually happen. Like I don't think I've ever had a paycheck where I, didn't make, or like a tip night where I didn't make at least $7.25 an hour, even with just tips by itself. But there are some nights it's really bad, and yeah, that place drives me fucking insane. Really, like it really does. But I love it there. It's like. Everyone there is insane. Like all the cooks, they're ridiculous. There's this, it's funny because it's a Vietnamese restaurant, but like a majority of the cooks there are Mexican. And there's this one who like, he always touches me and like winks at me and all this stuff. And then like, I remember one time he doesn't really speak English, and I'm like, see, his name's Baba, so we call him Baba, and I can say, Baba. I mean, you can talk as much crap about us as you want, but at least I'm not a child predator. And I say that to him, and he just looks at me and laughs.
He's a waiter?
No, he's a cook.
Oh.
He's a cook, and it's really funny because like I really like him. Like we're all family there, but it's just so funny the dynamics that go on there. And like there's another the sushi chef will argue with one of the servers. Sushi chef is Mexican, which is weird. And then one of the servers is Vietnamese, and like she'll yell at him in Vietnamese, and then he'll yell back at her and like curse her out in Spanish, and it's just the funniest thing to watch. Like I can't even explain how ridiculous it is. It's so funny. Wait, what time is it? Let me see.
It's time for my bed soon.
Yeah, I better also leave. I don't know, I didn't mean to take up so much time. I gotta go back to work.
Alright, Harrison, well, have a nice day.
You too, it was lovely talking to you.
Yeah, and you. Bye.
See you later. Bye.
Okay, guys. Hey, Vincent. Hey, Jane. So Will says, I just answer this and then I go, question pops up. The seer and the seen are one. How do you say that in Lisa language? Whenever you have time, a little answer is good for me. Would be grateful. The seer and the seen are one. I don't know. I would say it like that, I think. The seen is the seeing? I don't know. The things are the seeing. But I always swap around what I say. This and that, this and that. Okay, guys, thank you very much. I will see you on Sunday at 6 p.m. Dutch time. Thanks, guys. Bye.